He didn't remember my name. I remembered his, of course. I always remembered names, especially the ones that left a mark, the ones that made you pause mid-scroll on a phone screen. I should have been flattered, but instead, I felt the sharp edge of something like betrayal, or maybe just the cruel twist of cosmic irony. "Hey, are you new here?" His voice was the same as it had been in my dream, smooth, teasing, impossibly casual. My stomach nodded. The irony? We hadn't just matched online like anonymous ghosts passing in the void. We had matched with each other on a dating app weeks ago, only to discover that our lives were about to collide in the most public, unavoidable way possible. Cubicle proximity in a swanky Manhattan marketing firm. I laughed, a sharp, short bark that made him raise an eyebrow. "New? Not really. But apparently you are." He grinned, leaning on the edge of his desk, the sunlight catching his hair just so, turning the blonde strands almost white at the tips. "Guess the universe has a weird sense of humor. I'm Alex, by the way." I extended my hand, deliberately letting our fingers brush longer than necessary. "Ethan." The sound of my own name in his mouth made my heart skip. And the way he smiled? God, it should have been illegal. The first week was hell in a deliciously slow way. Every morning, I walked past him in the lobby, his cologne catching my senses, and every evening, I left with a lingering awareness of his presence, even when I was alone. The office, for all its sleek design and open-plan charm, felt like a trap one that I didn't mind being caught in. Emails, meetings, collaborative projects, everything suddenly became a minefield of what-ifs. We had to pretend to be professional, indifferent, even occasionally annoyed with each other, while every stolen glance and accidental touch threatened to betray the connection that had started on a tiny glowing screen. I caught myself analyzing every detail, the way his sleeves rolled up just enough to show the lean muscle of his forearms, the subtle curve of his smile when he thought I wasn't looking, the way his laugh could scatter all pretense, leaving me exposed and ridiculous, sitting there pretending to focus on spreadsheets. It wasn't all tension. There were moments, fleeting, impossible moments where the office walls disappeared. One rainy Thursday, we ended up sharing an umbrella in the tiny courtyard out back. Water dripped from the edges of the canvas onto our shoes, our jackets sticking uncomfortably to our backs. I looked at him, and for a moment, the rain didn't exist. The noise of traffic, the clicking of keyboards, the distant chatter of coworkers all vanished. "You know," he said, voice low and a little shy, "I never thought I'd run into someone I matched with online. In real life, it's weird, but in a good way." I smirked, leaning a fraction closer under the umbrella. "Weird in a good way? That sounds like the kind of phrase someone uses when they're trying not to fall for me." His laugh was warm, that kind of sound that makes you want to memorize it. "Maybe I am falling," he admitted softly, eyes darting to mine. Then he pretended to be distracted by the rain, but I saw a flash of something raw and unfiltered. Workdays became a delicate dance. A brush of hands over a shared document, a brief meeting by the printer, a whisper of laughter that only we could hear over the hum of the office. Every interaction was loaded, charged with the unspoken truth. Our connection didn't start here, but it had certainly escalated since the moment our lives intertwined by fate and by algorithms. Yet, there was chaos lurking beneath the surface. Rumors, office politics, deadlines all piled up, testing our ability to stay composed. One afternoon, a careless coworker dropped a comment about dating within the office. My heart sank. Alex caught my eye, his expression darkening for a fraction of a second, and I knew we had a choice. Pretend, hide, or risk everything. We risked. In the small break room, our conversation became a duel of teasing and truth. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, trying to appear casual. "So, office dating isn't forbidden, right?" I asked, tone innocent but with an edge. He smirked, leaning against the fridge, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from him. "Not forbidden, just complicated. But isn't everything worth it a little complicated?" My pulse quickened. I wanted to argue, wanted to resist, but there was no fight in me when it came to him. Alex had a way of making the world shrink until it was just the two of us, a dangerous and intoxicating illusion. By the end of that week, we had crossed boundaries that were technically professional but emotionally unavoidable. A shared coffee led to lunch, lunch led to walks in the courtyard, and walks led to conversations that were no longer about work. We shared stories about our families, our past heartbreaks, dreams we hadn't admitted to anyone else. And with each confession, the tension dissolved, replaced by something more substantial: trust, desire, and a fragile kind of love that trembled under the weight of reality but refused to break. Yet, our colleagues remained blissfully unaware, or perhaps selectively ignorant. Every glance, every accidental touch, was a secret thrill, a private rebellion against the mundane. Alex had a way of making normal office life feel cinematic, like each moment was part of a larger story written just for us. One evening late, we stayed behind to finish a project. The office was quiet, the hum of the air conditioning and the faint click of our keyboards filling the space. I looked up and caught him staring, his expression soft but intense, the kind that made the back of my neck tingle. "Why do I feel like we're in one of those movies?" I murmured. "Where everyone's oblivious, but the main characters know something no one else does." He tilted his head, smile teasing, eyes bright with amusement and something deeper. "Because we are. And I wouldn't change a thing." That night, as I left the office, I realized that the complicated mess of our connection wasn't something to fear. It was a story unfolding, unpredictable and messy, but undeniably ours. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly how love was supposed to feel: unexpected, reckless, and utterly transformative. The following week started with the usual chaos. Yet there was an undercurrent of something Newa sense of anticipation, fragile but persistent. Every step I took into the office felt like walking into a stage set for a drama where the script wasn't written yet, and Alex was both my co-star and my co-conspirator. Monday mornings were brutal, as always, but I found myself scanning the room for him, a nervous habit I couldn't shake. He was already there, leaning against the edge of the conference table, a coffee cup in one hand, his tie slightly loosened. He caught my gaze and smirked, that same maddening smile that always made my pulse race. "You look tired," he said, voice teasing but soft, like he was letting me into a secret. "Monday does that," I replied, leaning against the desk beside him. "Or maybe I'm just tired of trying to act professional around you." His laugh was low, rumbling, and it made my stomach flip in ways that were both exhilarating and terrifying. "Professional is overrated," he said. "I vote for honesty." Honesty was dangerous. I knew it. But honesty with Alex felt like breathing underwater after years of suffocating, impossibly freeing, yet slightly disorienting. By midweek, the office felt smaller, cozier, almost intimate, though nothing had changed physically. Everything had changed emotionally. We navigated our tasks with precision, but our private glances, brief touches, and accidental shoulder brushes became a language all our own. There was a silent acknowledgement that we were threading a delicate line between desire and discretion. One afternoon, the break room became our battlefield of wit and temptation. I was pouring coffee when Alex appeared beside me, hands casually in his pockets, leaning slightly too close. "You know," he said, voice low, "I've been thinking about our situation." I raised an eyebrow, pretending to be uninterested while secretly holding my breath. "Oh, dangerous thinking." "Maybe," he admitted, a playful edge in his tone. "Or maybe necessary. I don't want to pretend anymore, Ethan." My heart thudded. Pretend. That was exactly what I had been doing, pretending that our connection was just a fleeting distraction, a harmless dalliance. But hearing him say it out loud made the walls of my restraint crumble. "We can't. Not here," I whispered, aware of every subtle movement of his body. "People are always watching." He smiled knowingly, eyes glinting with mischief and something deeper, more profound. "Then we'll be careful. I'm willing to risk it." "Are you?" "Risk." That word hung in the air, heavy and electric. I wanted to say yes, but fear tangled itself with desire. And yet, as I looked at him, the way the light hit his hair, the intensity in his eyes, The curve of his lipsit was impossible to resist. By Thursday, we had established a delicate rhythm. Lunches became opportunities for lingering conversations, our laughter echoing off the office walls, intimate despite the public setting. We found corners of the office where no one ventured, where whispers replaced chatter, where our fingers brushed over papers and led to more than just casual contact. I remember one specific afternoon. The office was bathed in golden sunlight streaming through the windows. Alex and I had stayed behind after a long meeting, finishing a presentation for a demanding client. The room was silent except for the occasional click of our keyboards. I looked up and saw him watching me, a subtle but unmistakable intensity in his gaze. "Do you ever think about how ridiculous this all is?" I asked, voice low, barely above a whisper. "All the time," he admitted, stepping closer. "But then I look at you and it doesn't seem ridiculous at all. It seems inevitable." I swallowed hard, feeling the warmth of his presence as he closed the distance between us. His hand brushed against mine over the keyboard, a light touch that sent a jolt through me. "Alex," I started, voice faltering. We shouldn't. But we are," he said simply, leaning in until our foreheads nearly touched. "And I wouldn't change it for the world." The tension between us was palpable, thick with unspoken confessions, desires, and fears. And in that suspended moment, the office ceased to exist. It was just the two of us, a fragile bubble of intimacy amidst the chaos of deadlines, emails, and the bustling city outside. By Friday, the unspoken had begun to take form in small, daring gestures. A hand lingering on a shoulder, a brush of lips over the back of a hand, whispered jokes that carried double meanings. Every action was a declaration, a test, a challenge. And with every interaction, the magnetic pull between us grew stronger, irresistible, undeniable. It was during a late Friday night, when the office was almost empty, that the culmination of our tension finally came. We were reviewing campaign materials when our hands accidentally met over the keyboard, fingers entwining naturally. The shock of contact made us both freeze, then laugh nervously, the sound echoing in the empty space. "Maybe we should stop," I said, trying to mask the tremor in my voice, "before someone catches us." "Or maybe," he said, voice low and teasing, "we should finally admit that we've already started." Our eyes met, and in that instant the world narrowed to just the two of us. I could see the desire, the longing, and the vulnerability in his gaze, emotions I mirrored without shame. And then, almost imperceptibly, we leaned in, a collision of anticipation and restraint, our lips meeting in a tentative, exploratory kiss that spoke volumes. The office walls seemed to disappear, leaving only the sensation of his lips, the warmth of his body, and the electricity of a connection that had been building since the first accidental swipe on a dating app. Afterward, we separated slightly, foreheads still touching, breathing in sync, hearts pounding with the thrill of secrecy and discovery. "This is real, isn't it?" I asked, voice barely audible. "More real than anything else," he whispered back, a small smile playing on his lips. "And I don't want it to end." The weekend was spent in a haze of anticipation, messages and calls that teased and reassured, laughter shared over the phone, and dreams filled with the memory of that kiss. By Monday, the office felt different. We had crossed a threshold, and every glance, every brush of hands, carried a new weight, a new significance. Challenges arose, of course. Gossip in the office, the pressure of deadlines, and the fear of exposure were constant companions. But we faced them together, learning to navigate the complicated terrain of work, desire, and emerging love. We became each other's anchor and secret thrill, balancing professionalism with passion in a dance that was as exhilarating as it was dangerous. One afternoon, during a tense client meeting, I noticed Alex subtly reach for my hand under the table. Our fingers met, squeezed lightly, a silent reminder that we were in this together. The intensity of his gaze across the room gave me courage, a sense of belonging I hadn't felt in years. After the meeting, we found a quiet corner, away from prying eyes, and simply held each other, letting the world continue without us for a moment. I think we're unstoppable, he murmured, resting his head on my shoulder. Or just reckless, I replied, laughing softly, though I meant it with sincerity. But I like it. The following weeks solidified our bond. Lunches became dates. Meetings included shared laughter and conspiratorial glances, and every small act of closeness reinforced the truth we had both been avoiding. We were falling, hard and fast, into something extraordinary. It wasn't all easy. Arguments flared over trivial matters, misunderstandings arose, and the pressure of keeping our relationship discreet weighed heavily at times. But each challenge only strengthened our connection, forcing us to communicate, trust, and confront our fears together. By late November, the city had taken on a golden hue, leaves swirling in the streets as we walked home from work one evening, hands intertwined, fingers lacing naturally. "I can't believe this," I said, voice soft, almost reverent, "that a swipe on an app could lead to this." Alex smiled, brushing a stray lock of hair from my face. "Neither can I, but I wouldn't change a thing. Not the chaos, not the risk, not even the way it started." The romance we had stumbled into was messy, complicated, and at times, frightening. But it was real. And as we stood there on the corner of the bustling Manhattan street, wrapped in each other's warmth, I realized that love unexpected, inconvenient, and beautiful was worth every moment, every risk, and every heartbeat we had shared. We had matched online, collided in the office, and survived the tumult of secrecy and tension. And in the end, it wasn't just attraction or desire that bound us. It was understanding, trust, and the quiet knowledge that we had found something rare and precious in each off-era love that could withstand both the chaos of the world and the intensity of our hearts. And so, with the city lights flickering around us and the hum of life continuing unabated, Alex and I walked home side by side, hearts intertwined, ready to face whatever came next together. The following week brought with it a sense of calm that neither of us had expected. The storm of secrecy, stolen glances, and tension had finally settled into something quieter, more profound a rhythm that felt like home. We had survived the precarious first stage of our connection, and now, in the wake of it, there was clarity. Monday morning arrived, but it felt different. The office was buzzing as usual, yet my heart didn't race with anxiety the way it had before. I knew Alex would be there, of course, but now, there was no pretense, no fragile facade of professionalism masking unspoken longing. We had found a balance, a delicate equilibrium between desire and respect, passion and patience. Our routine had subtly changed. Morning greetings were warmer, touches lingered slightly longer, and smiles carried meaning beyond the mundane. One particular moment struck me as I passed his desk. He looked up from his computer, caught my eye, and waved with an easy grace. It was simple, ordinary, yet it carried a weight that made my chest swell. We didn't need to speak. Our eyes said everything. By midweek, our connection deepened in ways words couldn't capture. We shared quiet moments in empty meeting rooms, exchanged subtle notes and playful messages across screens, and discovered the joy of ordinary intimacy. Coffee breaks became opportunities to steal a hand, to laugh at inside jokes, to breathe in each other's presence. Every touch, every glance, reinforced the reality that this was more than just infatuation, it was love. One rainy afternoon, the office felt hushed, the only sounds the distant hum of traffic and the soft patter of raindrops against the windows. Alex approached me with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Do you remember that day with the umbrella?" he asked, his voice low and teasing. I smiled, recalling the memory with startling clarity, the rain soaking our jackets, our laughter mingling with the storm, the tentative closeness that had hinted at something more. How could I forget? He stepped closer, bridging the distance until our shoulders touched. "I think about it a lot," he admitted. "I think about us a lot." The honesty in his voice, the vulnerability in his eyes, made my heart ache with longing. I leaned into him, our foreheads touching, and whispered, "Me too." From that day onward, our relationship flourished. We navigated the delicate terrain of office life with grace, protecting our private moments while embracing the intimacy that had grown between us. Team projects and client meetings became backdrops for quiet gestures, a hand resting lightly on a shoulder, shared laughter that lingered in the air, eyes meeting across conference tables with unspoken understanding. One evening, as the city lights glimmered through the office windows, Alex and I stayed late to finish a presentation. The office was empty, silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. I looked at him, taking in the curve of his jaw, the intensity of his gaze, the way the soft light played on his features. "You know," I said softly, "I never imagined that a dating app swipe could lead to this. To us." He smiled, brushing a stray lock of hair from my face. "Neither did I. But I wouldn't change a thing. Not the chaos, not the tension, not even the mistakes we made along the way." We stood there for a long moment, simply holding each other, letting the world fall away. And in that quiet, suspended space, I realized that we had arrived somewhere extraordinary, not by design, but by chance, by courage, by the willingness to embrace the unexpected. The following weeks were filled with small adventures, simple joys, and the comfort of shared understanding. Weekend brunches, walks in the park, evenings spent cooking together. Each ordinary moment became extraordinary when we were together. We laughed, we argued gently, we explored each other's quirks, and in doing so, discovered the beauty of love in its most authentic form. By December, the office holiday party arrived, a festive event I had once dreaded, now infused with anticipation. As we navigated the crowded room, our hands found each other naturally, fingers intertwining as though they had always belonged together. "Look at us," Alex whispered, eyes bright with amusement and affection. "Office gossip hasn't killed us yet." I laughed, leaning into him. "It hasn't, and it won't, not as long as we stick together." Later that night, beneath the soft glow of fairy lights and the gentle hum of holiday music, Alex and I found a quiet corner. The world outside ceased to exist, leaving only the warmth of our shared presence. He cupped my face in his hands, his touch tender, deliberate, and whispered, "I love you, Ethan." The words sent a shiver down my spine, filling me with a joy so profound it threatened to overwhelm me. I pressed my forehead against his, voice trembling with emotion. "I love you too, Alex. Always have, always will." In that moment, all the trials, the stolen glances, the tension, the chaos, they all faded into insignificance. What remained was the pure, unfiltered truth of our connection, the undeniable certainty that we had found something rare and precious. As the night drew to a close, we left the party hand in hand, the city streets glistening with rain and lights. Each step felt purposeful, as if the world itself was guiding us forward, celebrating our union. Work remained demanding, life remained unpredictable, but we faced it all as a team, partners, lovers, confidants. Our love, once secret and fragile, had blossomed into a source of strength and comfort, a reminder that even in the most unlikely circumstances, beauty and connection could flourish. One quiet evening, as we walked through the park near our apartment, the city skyline glowing in the distance, Alex paused and pulled me close. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" he asked, voice soft and reflective. I nodded, leaning my head against his shoulder. "Every day, from a swipe on a phone to this surreal, but it's perfect." He smiled, resting his forehead against mine, and whispered, "It's more than perfect, it's ours." And in that simple, unremarkable moment, I understood the truth of it. Love was not about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It was about presence, patience, and the quiet, unwavering commitment to be there for each other, no matter what. As we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the chaos that had brought us together, for the risks we had taken, and for the love that had grown from it. Life was unpredictable, messy, and sometimes frightening, but with Alex by my side, it was also beautiful, exhilarating, and full of promise. We had matched on a dating app, collided in an office, and survived the turbulence of secrecy and tension. But more than that, we had discovered something enduring, something that would withstand the tests of time and circumstance. And as the night air wrapped around us and the city pulsed with life, we walked home together, hand in hand, hearts aligned, ready to face whatever came next, not as coworkers, not as casual acquaintances, but as partners, lovers, and the truest version of ourselves. In the end, the messiness, the risks, the uncertainty, it had all been worth it. Because love, real love, always finds a way. And ours had beautifully, irrevocably, against all odds. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.